Today we've got an EDC17C10. I don't know if you can see that, but just under the blue wire there's a missing pin. This has obviously gone rotten, so we're missing this pin here. So we're cloning it. I've got another ECU ready, matching part number. I'm just going to pull all the data off and clone it now. PSA cloning. There shouldn't be OPT zones, so this is a 2010 or 11 Peugeot 207 diesel, and it was actually came in for a suspected BSI fault because it wasn't intermittent starting and then it just packed up starting, and everyone had diagnosed it as BSI, so I actually got called out to go and clone the BSI unit, which I did on their say so, and then when obviously that didn't work, we found that, yeah, as soon as I unplugged, there was no communication to the ECU via diagnostics. I pulled the ECU plug and that's what was found. So why won't this connect? I think we're very close to getting the other MFC cable out. I think this MFC cable needs to go in for some new connectors. How odd. Ah, it might not be a C10, it might be the latest C10, so there is two different C10s. So this is a Tricore TC1797. ECU power's on, but this is quite a common fault on the 207s. Haven't seen it in quite a while. There we go. So I selected the wrong C10. Yeah, I haven't seen it in quite a while. But yeah, as soon as I got to it and done the BSI clone, realised that it still wasn't starting and it wasn't communicating, and there was oil pressure gauge issue faults and signal faults to the ECU, and I undone the ECU plugs and sure enough it was full of water, green, to the point where, like I say, it actually gone. I'll try and get some pictures. I'll put the pictures up of how I found it, but this is quite, like I say, it's been a known fault for years, but I haven't seen it in a while. I mean, it should be fairly quick read time. I've done it, like I say, I've done a few of these, but not for a while. I haven't seen it as much on the petrols, but the 1.6 HDIs and the 1.4s, the ECU's placed right next to the battery under the bonnet. Obviously plug's facing up, so even though it's got a cover on it, whether it's condensation or water, but all of them have done the same thing. Everyone I've found so far is, yeah, done the same thing. So we're missing, like I say, one pin. One pin's very questionable, but I'm waiting for a dual monitor mount as well. So in the next video the two monitors should be mounted next to each other perfectly. It was meant to be here when the monitors turned up, and it's actually out for delivery today, so we shall get them sorted and on mounts today. Get the desk a bit tidier. It shouldn't be that long. Then I'll do a full back with the donor ECU. And we'll put it back. I could have just done an IMO off, but might as well just do it all. We've got both ECUs, and the first ECU has read. Well, it is reading, so assuming the EEPROM reads alright, we'll just fully clone it. And there is no OPT areas on this one, as it'd come up in the top corner. It'd come up in the info ECU data, so somewhere here. I'm fairly certain the Fords have got OPT areas, so you can't directly one-to-one clone a Ford, but on the Peugeots I think you can, from memory. Right, so that's done. Turn dashboard off, yep. And what we'll do, I always like to come out, but what we'll do now is I'll repin the ECU. I'll see if I can get a better shot of that pin that's missing. So look, this end one here, and it's always sort of this corner that gets affected, sort of this edge. That's where the water seems to sit. So we'll get the other ECU pinned in, which is here. It's nice and clean. We'll get his pinned in, and we'll do a backup of this one, and we'll get on with it. And then, like I say, I think I'm going to sit and repair this MFC cable later, because it's done some work and I have got a spare. So I'll pull this one apart and put a voltage gauge in it, modify it. I have had a couple of questions on whether I'll take jobs off YouTube, and yeah, if anyone needs an ECU doing, I'll try and get an email in the description so you can email me if needed. So that should be the new ECU pinned up, following that, and we'll go back and connect to this one. ECU's on. I am going to update the power supply before the office gets its full renovation. I'm going to buy the smaller power supply. There we go. We'll save the ID. We'll save the ID. We'll read all. And I only do this for my own backups, really. I don't need to clone. Obviously I don't need to pull the data off the original ECU, I could just write to it, but the customer supplied both these ECUs, so I'll just do a full backup, and yeah. Hopefully, but I'll try and put some pictures up of how I found it originally. I didn't get any pictures of the fault codes, to be honest, as I'd show them. But it was oil pressure and no communication to ECU throughout various BSI unit and stuff. Oil pressure gauge was one, starter, relay, intermittent was another. But if you see them kind of fault codes and no communication with the ECU, there's a couple of fuses that do relate to the ECU, so it is worth checking them. But generally speaking, you pull the plug off and you'll see the problem. Like I say, I've done lots of these now. I even said that to the customer before I got there. I said, I don't think your BSI unit will be knackered with the symptoms it had, but he'd already bought the BSI and I was already going to the car anyway, so we did that anyway. Used Auto IM508 through OBD, full clone, read flash, read EEPROM. I've done a full back with the donor one, and then I wrote it all back, and like I say, it was exactly the same. Did have to put jump leads from a running car to that car to keep it going, because you can brick them if they get under a certain voltage, so be warned. But yeah, the Auto did clone its first BSI for me. I normally do it on the bench if I can, because it's more stable, but the Auto did it through OBD absolutely fine, to be fair. So we'll get this reading. But yeah, so the monitors might be straight and the picture quality might be a little bit better in the next couple of videos coming up. Turn that up. Yeah, turn off the dashboard. Right, we'll leave it plugged in, and then we'll go right all. I don't want the donor, I want the original. Now, I've had a couple of people say about how I store files. I store them the same way. I'll put the original in one folder. I don't do it by numbers. I just do it by reg or vehicle, etc. So, it's how I've always done it. Just because I get some people putting back to standard after 2 years, or if I go out to diagnose one, I can put it back to standard, or I can use them as backups. I always take pictures of the ECU labels, so when it goes back together, you know, I know what's come off what I've done, and I always log certain faults. So this fault will go in a text document with the ECU cloning data as to why I did it, the conclusion I came to, and the photos of the damage. So if I ever forget why, I can go back and reference it. I see some people with really messy setups, and I don't like it. It's always worked for me doing it this way. I can go back 10 years and find files and ECUs that I've done if needed. So it's the way I've always done it. It's the way I've always liked doing it. Hopefully I can shoot this video in one go as well, which would be nice. So not bad, not bad. The new computer is running a lot smoother than the old one, so I'm going to upgrade the power supply. Not upgrade, update. There's nothing wrong with this one, it's just I want to change the shelves around when the new desk goes in, so I want the key cutter at the back. Alright, turn dashboard off and wait. That's it, that's done. That's one EDC17C10 cloned. So, thank you very much for watching. We'll be with you in the next one.